Are you a mom who has been contemplating starting the journey of homeschooling, but also finds herself drowning in doubts? Well, you're in the right place because today I will be answering the top 10 questions most parents have when it comes to start homeschooling their own children. And I know that the idea of starting the homeschooling journey can seem overwhelming. And it actually took me a while to say, okay, I'm ready, let's go for it. Adding to being a full-time mom, the role of being an educator for your children is not super easy. But here's the thing, you are not alone on this journey. And this was one of my biggest fears. I thought that I was going to have to do this all alone, but there are so many sources, support groups that you can find and have free access to where you can actually feel that you're not doing this alone. So, if you're a mom that's on the fence and you're in between the doubts and the desire to actually start giving the best to your children, then hit the subscribe button because we are going to start homeschooling our children. And spoiler alert, this is going to be one of the most rewarding rides of your life. Hi, if you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've already been here, welcome back. My name is Victoria Koo, and I started homeschooling my children this scholar year. And I'm also a digital marketer. So if you're interested in learning how to make money as a homeschooling mom or as a stay-at-home mom, then don't forget to subscribe to my channel and tap the notification bell so that you'll get notified as soon as a new video is out. And I'm bringing new videos every single week so that you can have a lot of free content where I can show you exactly how to homeschool and how to get started with making money online and much more. Okay, but first I want to emphasize that I live in Canada, so most of my homeschooling experience is for this country. But from what I've known and what I've noticed from talking to other homeschooling moms in the US, is that it's pretty similar to what I'm going to be talking about today for US and Canada. Okay, so the first question that I had when I wanted to start homeschooling my children was, is homeschooling legal? Are we able to homeschool our children? So the first question I had when I wanted to start homeschooling my children was, is homeschooling legal in Canada? So one of the things you don't see much in Canada is people homeschooling. Compared to the US, there's less Canadian parents homeschooling, but it's starting to rise. So the answer is yes. Homeschooling is legal, and any parent that decides to start homeschooling their children are able to do it. So the choice is yours. So homeschooling is also called home education and home-based education. However, even if homeschooling is legal in all over Canada, there are some legal requirements, and I think it's the same for countries, depending on the province or territory where you live, the legal requirements will be different. So for example, I live in Quebec and we have two school boards. So we have the English school board and the French school board. And since I didn't go to school in English, my kids have to learn everything in French, and English is their secondary language. So one of the things that my kids also need to do is that they have to pass all the ministerial examinations. So here are some of the requirements for my province, which is Quebec. So I'm going to read some of the requirements for homeschooling in my province, which is Quebec. So the first thing I have to do is notify the Direction de l'enseignement à la maison, which is the homeschooling office at the Ministry of Education, and the school board that my kids will be homeschooling in July of each school year. Then what I need to do is prepare and submit to them a learning project which details the educational plan for each of my child, which this part actually took me a little longer because I didn't know how to do it. But the good thing is that I have a person that helps me put the plan together, and you can even hire someone to create a educational plan for each of your children. Number 3, I have to prepare and submit status midterm reports on the child's progress. So every half of the year, I need to submit a report on my kids' progress. Okay, for this one, I have a resource person, as I mentioned. And what the person does is that they set a meeting with me. And for the mid-year, the person, you can either do a video call or the person can meet you in person. But the thing is that if you do a video call, you need to scan every like single piece of work your kid has done, like in on picture or scanned, and then you have to send everything to them. So what I did this year is, because I didn't want to do all this work because I have 3 children that are homeschooled, I decided to make the resource person come to my house. And what she did is that she simply went through everything that my kids were doing, make sure is that they're learning the basics of what they're asking for. So they just want to make sure that my kids or your kids are actually learning and following the plan. And as I mentioned, the other thing that is mandatory for me, since my kids are learning French and they need to do the ministerial examinations, is that they, on fourth grade, sixth grade, and I think then on secondary, if they continue to do their high school on at home, then they need to do all of these exams. And what I have to make sure that they know what they need to do, and they need to go to the school board to pass those examinations. I will leave a link down below so that you can see all the requirements for each province of Canada. Question number 2 is, how do I remove my children if they are already going to a public or private school so that I can start homeschooling them? Okay, for this one, I know exactly what to do because I was actually planning on removing my children when they were already in school. And I actually removed my kids from the school board. To remove them from the system, I had to fill out some forms and tell them why I wanted to start homeschooling, when I was going to start homeschooling. And as I mentioned before, I also had to send an educational plan. I know that not for all provinces you need to do that. For some provinces, you can decide to homeschool your kids as you want, and they don't ask you for an educational plan. But for me, that was the case. So just make sure that if you decide to remove your child from a school to start homeschooling, that you know exactly what your province or territory requires. Question number 3. If you've talked to other people about the possibility of start homeschooling your children, you have been asked that question, and that is 100% sure. And I think that there's no parent that hasn't been asked this question. What about socialization? Usually a very loaded question, and most of the times it doesn't mean what it appears to mean. And let me explain. So let's briefly discuss socialization in different angles. So when we talk about having a social life, okay, we often refer to the process of learning values, behavior, and norms. First, we need to clarify that socialization refers to the process of learning social skills, behavior, norms, and all of those skills that teach a kid or a person how to behave when they're with other people. And honestly, those are values that parents can teach their children. And what people often want to ask when they're asking this question is if your kids is going to socialize with other kids. But let's be honest, kids will learn better social skills from an adult, like from their parents, than with other kids who are also learning how to be social. And I guess the real question people want to ask is if your kids are going to make friends, or how are your kids going to be making friends? So the real question here, and which leads to question number 4, is how are your kids going to be making friends? And that's pretty simple. So if you're homeschooling, you're not alone. As I mentioned, you have other groups of homeschooling parents. If you go to church, there's a group of kids there. If you have friends that have kids, simply meet up with them and your kids will have other kids to play with. So making friends is not going to be a problem for your child just because you start homeschooling. Homeschooling doesn't mean that you're going to stay in your house and not go out and never meet with anyone else. Learning how to interact with people of different ages is a very important part of socialization. When you go to work or when you go somewhere, you're not just going to talk to people your age. And this is one of the things that homeschool kids have, that they can actually socialize with different people of different ages, which school doesn't actually allow that because kids are often with a group of kids that are the same age as they are. So the next time you talk about homeschooling and people ask you, but what about socialization? Then it's okay to take a pause and actually ask them, what exactly do you mean by socialization? Question number 5 is, can I homeschool as a working mom or if I have a business? And the answer is absolutely. So many people think that homeschooling means that you won't have that extra income, but that's not true. Um, Homeschooling is available for anyone that wants to homeschool. And the beauty of homeschooling is that you can decide your schedule. You can decide to teach your kids early in the morning or after you finish work. Being able to choose your schedule and choose your children's schedule is going to make it easier for you if, for example, you work part-time or if you have an online business, which is what I do. I have an online business and I homeschooling my kids in the morning. And that's the other thing, that homeschooling doesn't take a lot of time, which takes a lot when they go to school. So most of the time that they're home, they actually focus on the things that they need to do. And it will usually take about 3 to 4 hours per day max to homeschool your kids and teach them what they need to learn. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that if you homeschooling, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do all the classes. So for example, if you have the extra money, you can delegate some of the classes, some of the lessons, and you can hire a tutor or a coach or anything that you need them to learn. So you're not the one that has to necessarily do all the lessons with them, and you can start delegating as well. Now, if you're interested in learning how to make money as a homeschooling mom and you don't necessarily want to have a work where you have a schedule and you want more flexibility on your business and while making money and while homeschooling, then there's this huge opportunity that I started 2 years ago that allows me to earn an extra income while homeschooling my kids, which is called affiliate marketing. And if you want to learn exactly what I do, then I have a free guide that you can get instant access to by clicking the link down below. And question number 6, how do I homeschool different and multiple ages and grades at the same time, including an active toddler or a baby, which is what I have. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I have a toddler. So homeschooling with a toddler, and I have 3 children homeschooled, 3 different ages, and 1 toddler at home. So I'm not going to lie to you. At the beginning, it was extremely challenging, but it's possible. And you simply need to be patient and to adapt to each of your kids' needs. What helps for me is that my 2 oldest are very independent. They're able to do a lot of the lessons by themselves. I'm simply there to help them when they have questions, which leads me to put most of my attention to my first grader and my toddler. And what I have or what I do to make my toddler like do other things while I help my daughter is that I put together boxes of like Montessori things that he can play with while I'm teaching my children. The other thing that helps a lot, and a lot of people don't know that, it's that there are certain classes or lessons that you can teach to all of your kids at the same time. It's just that what each of them will learn will be different. and you can do like activities afterwards that are different for each of them, but the lesson is the same. So this is an option that we have that I didn't know, and my resource person told me about it, and which is amazing. And also, if you go to a museum or if you do like a science project or something like that, you can do it with all of the kids that are different ages and different grades, which is really amazing. Question number 7. Choosing to homeschool feels risky. Am I going to do more harm than good to my child? I think that that was one of the questions that really made me hesitate a lot because one, I felt like I didn't have the skills to teach my kids, and I thought that okay, I'm going to do more harm than good to them. But the reality is that I noticed that my kids had really bad teachers, and it's not because they had one bad teacher that they got harmed. And as a parent, we often want what's best, and we will want what's best for our children more than what a teacher wants. So the reality is that even if things don't go as planned from the beginning, you can always adapt and make things better. And just remember that perfection does not exist. And just so you know, let's say you decide that homeschooling your children is something you just want to do 1 year at a time and see if it fits your family, or if you're actually enjoying it or you love doing this. And always send back to school your children. So that's an option that you have. And instead of thinking that you're going to be homeschooling your kids forever or until they finish high school, you can take it 1 year at a time. Simply give yourself some grace and talk to your kids. Ask them what they really want, what they would like to learn, or what they how they would like to be homeschooled. And this is going to help you a lot to into knowing exactly what to do and enjoy actually what you're doing. Question number 8 is, what qualifications do I need to start homeschooling my kids? None. You don't need to have any qualification other than being their parents. Here's the thing, when you start homeschooling, the educational plan doesn't have to be created by you. There's so many curriculums that you can choose from that are already made for you, and all you have to do is follow what someone already specialized in the subject did or created for you. Obviously, some of them are more expensive than others, but you have all of that information and all of those tools available to you. And also another thing that I want to say is that as parents, we have been teaching our kids since they're babies. We teach them how to talk, how to start walking, how to start eating. We have been teaching them since they are born. And I guess that the real problem and what makes us doubt that we're not able to keep educating them, keep teaching them, is because we have been told that kids need to go with an expert to do this or to learn this or to learn the other thing. So we kind of feel powerless after that. We feel that we are not able to keep teaching our kids, that we don't have what's required. But the truth is that we have everything it takes to teach our kids. And the truth is that you'll keep learning as you go. I am still learning a lot of things, and the truth is that while my kids learn, there are many things that I don't even remember learning and that I'm learning again. So we are both growing together with our kids and as parents, as educators. So just keep going, and if you decide to go, just know that you're capable of doing this. Question number 9 is, how do I fit homeschooling into my life? So here's the thing. As I already told you before, teaching our kids since they're babies. As parents, we're always teaching them something. And learning for them doesn't necessarily have to be in a form of a classroom. When you go grocery shopping, you can give them a lesson there. So there's so many things in your day-to-day life that you can take as a lesson and teach your children something. So for us, we decided to do things different. So we do take books. So we do learn from books, but we also have programs that I purchased that is all digital. So they do things on the computer. We also do a lot of experiments. We go out when we go grocery shopping. I teach them how to choose things, how to see the prices, how to calculate taxes, and skills that we must teach our children that they will learn at school, and that you're already doing it. So all you have to do is now show it to your kids. So that's how you can put it all together and fit homeschooling into your daily life. And the last question is, where can I find a support group? There's so many support groups. So you have paid support groups, and you have Facebook, or you can find so many groups. And that's where I found groups of homeschooling moms on my area. So if you want a local group, you can put on Facebook the name of your area plus homeschooling moms, or whatever it is that they have called it, and you can find a support group from local homeschooling moms. There are also websites where you can pay a membership, where there are other homeschooling parents inside of it. And the good thing about these membership groups where you pay, the membership is not really expensive. It can go from $50 to $200 for the year, or depending on which groups you want to join. And the great thing is that they give you the tools that you need in order to homeschool your kids. So these are the most common questions I had when I started, or I wanted to start homeschooling my kids. And I don't know if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments, and I might do another video answering all of these other questions. If you would want me to talk about something specific about homeschooling or making money online, leave them on the comments too, and I'll be glad to make more content about this. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.